Every day, America Online is making it easy for people to live, work, and play.
When we installed internet access on our computer, I got the whole family involved.
On you, play use your computer.
Just what is this main artery of the information superhighway?
Stop, you beautiful bastards!
No matter how large, no matter how small, we'll be on the internet in the year 2000. It's the primary way that people will look up information.
Shut up!
When we were there.
Hello and welcome to When We Were There, a biased internet history. I'm Thomas.
And I'm Josh, and this is a show all about the evolution of internet culture. The who's, the what's, the where's Waldo. We're going to get into it all.
Whether you like it or not.
You know what? Let's just break it down a little bit, okay? You're probably wondering who are these guys. So what we're going to do, we're just going to talk a little bit about ourselves and what our relationship is with the internet. So Thomas, what was the first thing that kind of got you into the internet, kind of taking you away from that realm of TV, slowly shifting you towards that?
It's definitely the computer lab, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if other people had this as much, but computer lab in elementary school, to specify, you know, it's a bunch of all those like the old Macs, with like the colored ones, you know,
the ones you can kind of see through.
Yeah, and they had like a handle on them, like you're gonna take it somewhere.
Yeah, you're gonna like take it back and forth to work.
Yeah,
it's a before laptops were big. You're just kind of on the bus carrying this 50-pound thing.
And I'm 8 years old with it, right? Like, I can't even carry the thing, but they gave it to me. Yeah. So, yeah, just, you know, the computer lab and all the kids are there, like, surfing the web with, like, unfettered content. No one's stopping us. We're seeing all sorts of shit we shouldn't be seeing. This is before they knew how to put a firewall in the computer lab.
See, that's where you're lucky. Because at my school, like, we had a computer lab, no internet access at all. It was just like, hey, play these bad learning games.
That's fucked up.
It is.
Well, I think definitely to give a little bit more context to what this is all about. Because if you're listening to this, you might be like, I don't get it. What are you guys talking about? And we're going to tell you. This is about the internet and how we see it. So, you know, I saw it as like a dumb 8-year-old who didn't even know what was happening. And it was crazy because there was actually a lot of cool stuff going down. Like, Homestar Runner.
Oh, we all love a good Homestar Runner. I remember I was probably about 5 years old. My mom was dating the only not piece of garbage aside from my old man that she dated. And he was setting up like this thing that used to be on the internet, kids, you know, called LimeWire.
Oh,
and it was like essentially just downloading illegal content. Maybe you'd be watching, like, you get a SpongeBob episode. Half the time it was just like a really graphic porn and it wasn't what you were trying to get. But he got like old NES emulators. And then eventually through that, we found like, oh, I'd just go on Google and it'd be like free online games. And you'd find like freeonlinegames.com or addicting games. And then through that, I found Newgrounds and played games on Newgrounds. Like, oh, they have videos too, like Mario vs. Sonic. And then eventually, since like just typing in like random funny videos on Google, that's when me and my friends also found like Homestar Runner and Knox Corner and these like series that like every week we would tune in and go see. And that kind of got to the point where when I got home, I didn't, you know, turn on YTV or Disney or whatever it was. I went on to the internet and said like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's a funny shift from when it's like, especially as like later on when it became like with YouTube and people are uploading, like a bunch of people are uploading every day regular schedules of different shows, even like different content and shows almost. It would be like I'd stop watching YTV and like waiting for SpongeBob. I'd come home and like be like, oh, who's my favorite YouTuber today? Or like what's the new Knox Corner today or something like that. And it's kind of interesting, that shift.
Yeah, it's a cool shift because, you know, before YouTube, in the really, really Wild West days of the internet, you know, you'd hop on a Newgrounds and then I'd know like, okay, so every week there's going to be like a new Strong Bad emails or other content on homestarrunner.com. And maybe every week or two there's going to be a Knox Corner. But that's kind of like 2 to 4 times that I know that there's going to be something new.
Yeah.
And maybe when I was at a friend's house, we'd like watch music videos on the internet. But then when YouTube kind of came into the zeitgeist and then a bunch of people were uploading and there were actually people that it wasn't just viral videos, but they'd start like regularly uploading. At that point, it was like, oh, there could be like even just me watching like 50 new videos from creators that I like a day, you know. And at that point, it's like, why tune in to see a rerun of the same show on TV?
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like, man, I've already seen this episode. Get it together, YTV.
Oh, it's
Or
the
like,
one with the goddamn guy and he's got a spatula for the hand and Nosferatu's there. I get it, okay? I'm not seeing something new.
I don't even know who Nosferatu is. I'm fucking 8. Again,
Exactly.
I'm dumb. When I was 8, I didn't know anything.
Yeah, but I knew that I liked watching like a cat fall down or something cheeky on the internet. And then
Yeah,
once you had, you know, your Smoshes, your Nigahigas, once in the playground, people were actually talking about like Nigahiga, how to be ninja. And then you're actually finding these people to tune in. Screw you, television. I'll watch you during dinner with my mom.
While we ignore each other.
We're eating bland chicken and watching the fucking news.
Yeah. But it's funny that because I wonder, I feel like computer labs must have been a huge, for the pre YouTube days, must have been a huge thing, because like, how the fuck did any kid know about Homestar Runner or Knox Corner or you know, shit on Newgrounds or whatever, or like on a different note, like addicting games and whatnot. Like I think every fucking kid played Madness or
Oh yeah.
or did you play the Impossible Quiz? You know that one?
I know there was one where it was like a game where you had to like kind of get through a maze, and then if you hit the sides, the girl from The Exorcist would pop up and you like shit your pants.
Yeah, I remember that one. I think it was like, yeah, it's like a maze, and on the last it's like pretty easy, and then on the last one, once you beat it, it's like, "Gah!"
Yeah, you freak the fuck out.
Again, you're 8 years old, so you fucking lose it.
That scarred me so much for the internet. And then even like in early YouTube, people would do that sometimes, just like fuck with their audience.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I swear to God, if I'm watching a video on my own, there's like a 50% chance that it's just a jump scare is gonna. Same with like that one where it's like, doo doo doo, like the soothing music, and then like
And
a
the
jump-
cars driving down the road. It's like this like country road in France or
yeah.
something.
And
Remember
then
that one?
Oh, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, and then it was
Yeah.
like scary. I think the thing, like you said, like before there were anything to do with like filters on like what you could see on the internet, because I think eventually, like though we didn't have computer lab, it kind of got to that point where like, you know, even though it was dial up and you had to wait a long time, like me and friends would have access to the internet, and you know, a lot of the time you'd just be like watching something and you'd be like, oh, funny videos, and then you'd stumble upon something like fucking Two Girls One Cup or Pain Olympics, and you're like a 9-year-old seeing someone cut their dick off. It's fake, but still, you don't know that.
No, you're 9 years old, and you're like, what?
You see, now kids, it's like, I was even thinking like why I mentioned LimeWire is like I have like younger cousins and like second cousins that like are now starting, oh, like you got in your iPad with like the kids filter on YouTube and TikTok and stuff, but you're not like accidentally gonna stumble upon like the fucked up shit we saw.
Goddamn pussies.
Yeah, no, they're real. It really you got to put some hair on your nose, you know. You gotta watch that shit. And
Exactly.
I also think that kind of created a lot of the shock humor at the beginning of early YouTube, and even like sort of the end of the Wild West of the internet, where so much of it is just like, how absurd can we get? Like, what crazy shit can we say to get attention?
Do you remember those freak out videos where it's like that kid is the one where the kid shoves the remote up
Yeah,
his
he's trying
ass?
to, like, his dad takes away his Xbox and he's just like,
Yeah, and he's like, "Wah!" So those were entirely like scripted and fake, but they went far just through. It's like slightly different what you're talking about, but it's still just that like what's the most obnoxious, loudest thing that we can do to get
people to click on
to
and
get
be like,
people to
why am I
yeah.
watching this over something else that's like fucking nuts?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the funny thing, and like totally correct me if I'm wrong, you know, and I'm saying this, take everything we say on this podcast with more than a grain of salt, okay? We don't know shit.
We have no idea what we're talking about at all. Again, like I was 8
Yeah.
when this stuff was happening.
As a traumatized child.
Yeah.
That being said, don't correct us.
Oh. Yeah. just don't be negative, right? Like if you're listening to the podcast and you maybe you don't enjoy it, like don't comment and say like this blows. Comment and be like, you know what, guys, like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, like if you think that we have information that's wrong, like, you know, leave a great review, 5 stars, comment, like maybe a response video to it.
Add us on Twitch.
Hinge, whatever it is, just like make us look good, and then DM like, hey, by the way, like this was off, and we won't listen to or respect you.
Yeah, and even that's like a little too harsh.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, by the way, guys, like again, I love what you do. Real excellent. I feel like it's possible maybe you got something wrong.
Yeah.
But like I'm just some idiot, so don't listen to me.
Yeah, and then
we won't.
Also end that with be like, though I think you may have gotten it wrong, I think I'm wrong and you killed it.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. But I think, as I was saying, Thomas, correct me if I'm wrong, no one else, I think much like the beginning of the actual, like, being able to watch videos on the internet, having, like, enough bandwidth to actually be able to do that, a lot of it was, like, this crazy random shit, like Funny Junk, E-Bombs World, just these random kind of crazy videos with no through line. You know, these aren't people that are uploading regularly. And then I think in this sort of wasteland, people came out of it like creators on Newgrounds who are, you know, now doing very successful things on like stuff like Cartoon Network or Adult Swim. And you have these people like Homestar Runner and Knox Corner that actually had like consistent content, making it, rather than just kind of a wasteland of crazy videos, consistency, much like you would with television. You know, think about something like a Homestar Runner. Every week there's a new video. What's the difference between that or something like watching a new episode of The Simpsons or SpongeBob or Fairly Odd Parents? Yeah.
And they produced it weekly. They're like South Park. They produced a new episode every week.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, 5 minutes as opposed to 20, but still, like, just 2 dudes.
Yeah, no hiatus. There's no like, oh, well, we have summer break. And sometimes there'd be more if it was like, okay, a strong bet email every week, but then maybe there's a holiday special or a Powered by the Cheat.
Yeah, that's true. And they made them for like fucking 4 or more than 4 years. I think they did it definitely 4 years without really missing a week.
Oh, yeah. Like between 2003, 2007. And
then the thing about them too is they're directly responsible, well, not directly responsible, but directly inspired Red versus Blue, which Rooster Teeth now is like a giant company. They have like over 100 employees. They like have like a studio lot and stuff. And that started with like a bunch of dudes getting drunk in some guy's apartment, in Bernie's apartment. Originally they were trying to review, they were like called Drunk Gamers, and they would review video games while getting drunk, and the whole ploy was just for them to get companies to send them games for free.
Really?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. But then Bernie would like sometimes while playing like games, or like particularly Halo, I think, but while playing games he would like go back later and like record like dialogue basically for his character in the game. Dialogue like, oh shit, like I can't get shot or whatever, like whatever it is, right? And then his friends like that, people online like that, and he's like, you know what, this could just be like a show. We could just do that, like a show like this, and these are actors. But he's directly sourced Homestar Runner as being their model for weekly uploads, for what's the word, like using merch for like to profit to well, like merchandising. Like Homestar Runner was entirely supported by,
even to this day, is not monetized.
Yeah, for monetization through merchandise and not using ads, because Homestar Runner was big about that, not using ads,
which I think is crazy. That's the complete opposite of someone like a Jake Paul literally writing a song about buying his merch and having like fucking 10 sponsors. I remember at the beginning days of YouTube, and I think Philip DeFranco talked about this, is if you were not even just to promote someone else's stuff, but your own stuff, you would be shit on.
Yeah. I think, yeah, if you were to promote, well, okay, if you're promoting any product,
yeah,
people are like pissed.
Yeah, and I think you even have like early Philip DeFranco where he would do fake sponsorships, almost just like poking fun at these idiots that would, oh, today I'm gonna like, you know, now the number of videos I watch that are even like 2 minutes, like, oh, this is sponsored by dick pills, you know, like,
yeah,
you get roasted.
Because I think this is a thing that is entirely lost today. which is the fact that the internet is a big dumb machine. Like it's a big fake playground, and it's not real. You know what I mean? Like people, you didn't take the internet seriously back in the day. So if you're like, oh, I'm gonna make some cash, I'm gonna get some fat stacks off of this fantasy world, people would laugh you out of the street. They'd be like, "What are you doing? This is a toy box."
I think
But now people look at like YouTube and whatever. They look at like people like Smosh, and they're like, "Those guys are millionaires. I could do that."
And I think that's the thing that made not even just, you know, the old internet, but old YouTube, there was something genuine about it. Like if you even, and I think, don't worry, we're going to talk more about Smosh in the future. This is just us getting into the fucking shallow end.
Oh yeah, pretty much every person we've just mentioned will probably get their own little special something.
Exactly. But for now,
discussion,
we're just tickling it. We're just giving little hints. So I mean, if you look at someone like a Smosh, like most of that was, I know, you know, me personally, when I was a kid, me and my cousins would shoot with a tape camera home videos. And then at the end of the day, we would like play it for my aunt and uncle or my grandparents. And I think that was kind of the first bit of stuff that Smosh was doing. There was not even a thought that this would go anywhere. They're just trying to make their friends laugh. Same with like, even though Homestar Runner had like a higher production value, even look at someone like Knox Corner, who just made these claymations really just to make him and his buddies laugh. And then eventually was able to do like the movie that he did, Clay World Off the Table, and make a little bit of money off that. And, you know, he got some consistency. No one in their mind thought, oh, this is going to be my living. You're coming from this genuine place of, oh, okay, I'm actually going to do something that I think is really fun, that I love. You know, it's not going to make any money, but fuck it.
Well, that's the thing with Homestar. It's pretty funny because they started animating with Homestar characters because originally it's a children's book, just for practice. They're like, hey, this Flash thing looks pretty cool. Let's learn. Hey, we have these characters. Let's just practice with them.
Well, yeah, they're doing Mario Paint originally.
Yeah, they were, exactly. And then they eventually they were like, hey, some of these are kind of good. Let's upload them. And then I think after like a year or two of doing them every week and still having their day job, so they'd like be working until 5 or whatever, coming home and just like gunning it, trying to make it happen. And then eventually they're making so much money from the t-shirt sales and stuff that their dad, who was an accountant, was like, quit your day jobs. And they were like, okay.
No one would have thought that would have existed at the time. Like the number of people now that are like, oh, I have 100,000 subscribers and I can get a sponsorship with some AdSense, I'm definitely going to quit my job. But that would have been crazy at that time for this market that really didn't exist.
They'd even talk about it where people would be like, they would tell people like, when they're like, oh, what do you do? And they're like, yeah, I make a cartoon for the internet. They'd laugh like it was a joke. And then later, like they even talk about how there's one guy they met like a few years later, and then they're like, yeah, he's like, oh, how you guys doing? We're like, yeah, you know, good, still doing that cartoon for the internet. And he's like, oh, were you serious? I thought that was a joke. I thought you were fucking lying to me, like, because it just, like you said, it wasn't fathomable. Like it wasn't an idea that like you could make something online and that's your job.
Yeah, no, it didn't exist. And even as you said, like, you know, there's now kids that grow up and see that. I would say even us, like, you know, so just as a little background, me and Thomas met in film school. On the first day we were partnered in a project together. And at the first party, we sipped some of that grandpa's special lemonade, if you know what I mean, and talked a little more. And then we got a beer together the first time we really hung out. And then we realized, oh shit, you made YouTube videos when you were in high school. You know all these things about internet content. And
yeah, that was the big thing where it's like you drop a name and then it's like, what? You know that guy?
Yeah, like the fact that Thomas knows who the fuck Knox Corner is, even. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there listening, if anyone's listening to this. It's like, who the fuck is that? And he was a guy that made like basic blue character models and goofs. And like Thomas was saying, similar with Homestar Runner, you know, he was just using basic blue molds, humanoid shaped, because he was trying to practice claymation, and eventually that became his style. And that's what kind of got him traction. And I think he's also someone who's really pioneered what sort of internet content comes out now, but no one really knows about this. So the fact that we were able to talk about this was like, oh shit, this guy knows his stuff. And
a couple of YouTuber kids in film school together.
After 5 years, we're like, you know what? We want to do a podcast anyway. We might as well do something we know about because we're shit at like everything else.
Yeah, this is the only thing that even just like slightly we got. Like, you know, it's say that like there's the textbook of knowledge, right? Like it's a theoretical thing, the textbook of knowledge. And that's like what an expert has. I feel like we got like a pamphlet of knowledge, or like
we got a flyer, like the flyer that says, "Hey, by the way, this book exists."
Yeah, exactly. Like we can be like, and like I read it once at the library.
You skimmed
but
it,
like I skimmed it. I didn't take it home,
but
because it's heavy, right? Like I don't want to carry that.
No, you don't want to carry. It's much like the big giant computer. Like, what are you gonna do? Take that on a fucking bus? First generation iMac? No.
You know what's funny? This is a little aside, but speaking of like being a tiny child and carrying stuff, I'm not like a particularly big guy, and as a kid I was tiny, right? Like just very small.
You were a little guy.
Oh, just a little guy. And for whatever reason, so we had like a strings program at my school, and I decided, I want to play cello.
Oh, you
the goddamn instrument was bigger than I was, and I had to walk at least sometimes to school, definitely every day home from school, carrying this fucking cello, and it's bigger than I am. And then after a year I was like, can I switch to violin? And the teacher said no.
Oh jeez,
you can't.
Carrying
so
something
I quit.
3 times your fucking body weight.
And now I can't play any instrument, and it's all that
all the
lady's
cello's fault.
It's the cello's fault, and
her
it's that
fault.
lady's fault for not letting me switch to violin, because I'm sure they play exactly the same, lady.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just being pretentious.
But really, long
Anyway.
story short, we don't know our shit. That being said, I think another thing we bonded over is we both, with our friends, made YouTube videos around that 2010 mark onwards. And even then, you know, you had, what was it, 2008 that the partner program came out?
Yeah, 7 or 8.
So
and I will say,
yeah,
I started making videos in 2008, my guy.
well, I don't know, I made like a 2006 magic videos, and then like in that time frame of like 2007, yeah, me and buddies would make stuff, but I'm talking like consistent.
Yeah, we were making consistent videos.
I just got chumped right there. I just got made look like a
2009.
bitch. But for those who don't know, the original partner program essentially was an opportunity that people who, you know, were getting views were at the beginning given a little bit of money, and then they were able to actually put ads on their videos and make a little bit of Google AdSense there. But when I started making videos, you saw these top echelon people, you know, the Shane Dawsons, the Stations, the Philip DeFrancos, the Smosh, the Niga Higa, the Lisa Nova, these people that were going to do that. But that was never a thought in my head that I was going to be able to do that. It was really just like, these were people I liked. We made a video, a parody video for one of the actresses, Lauren Francesca, on Barely Political. And then that, you know, they featured that. And then that kind of gave us the momentum to keep going. We fucked that opportunity up, by the way. It didn't work out the way we wanted it to. I'm clearly not a YouTube star right now. Like that small 5 seconds of fame amounted to us getting lazy eventually, and then me working in traditional media.
It's like you were the kid with the cello, and someone handed you a violin, and you dropped it.
I dropped it, and it shattered.
And it shattered, yeah.
But I mean, I think much like you too, I wasn't doing that because I'm like, oh, I want to do this because this is a viable career option. It was almost like this could be a launching pad to doing something else. And luckily through that, you know, I taught myself After Effects, and I was able to get a job at a small visual effects studio. But by the time I was already doing that, like the perfect dream would have been making money off of being a YouTuber.
Yeah. I gotta come clean. We were poised to be the next Smosh. That was what we were trying to do. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, but it's not like now where everyone is kind of at the point where it's like, oh, all I gotta do is do something dumb, get a viral hit, get consistency, fuck with the algorithm, and then like make that AdSense and get paid, sell out merch, baby.
No, I mean at its core, it was all about making a fun video with your buddy.
Yeah, it's really a lot of it is about making your friend laugh. And I'm not saying, by no means am I saying that doesn't exist on the internet anymore. I just think, you know, we have so many of the top echelon of creators kind of like, okay, let's do something crazy and just get paid, get an influencer house, and just make money off of that. Whereas I think, yeah, there was something a lot more genuine at the beginning of the content people were making. Like YouTube comedy those were the people that were the most subscribed. Those were the people that were the most viewed. And now it's like Let's Plays and like music and trailers, and it's not really the same. You're not really getting
it's like,
the same talent pool.
You go to the front page of YouTube and like they suggest you Jimmy Fallon and like whatever.
The fucking Rock.
Yeah.
Will Smith, their YouTube channels.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, don't these guys have a big enough platform already? Like, do you really need to be advertising them on the front page? Because do you remember the YouTube Spotlight when it'd be like featured video of the week or whatever? And it's like, I don't remember if it was the day or the week, but I think it was a week.
But it was trying to bring up someone small. You're not putting Jimmy Kimmel, a guy who is a multi-millionaire who already has a fucking television show. Here's a clip of him interviewing Sacha Baron Cohen. Like, yeah,
and it's like you don't even give a shit about Jimmy. You want to hear Sacha talk, like, but he's the one who gets the views,
Yeah, I remember there's a big thing. This is more recent, but it was Casey Neistat didn't advertise, like his video was sponsored and he moderately talked about a shooting, and that was completely shut down. But Jimmy Kimmel had a full ad on a video right around talking about the Las Vegas shooting, and he didn't lose any of his monetization. Ads still ran on that, and I think there is something where definitely at this point YouTube is gonna protect these either safe creators or people that are already traditional media celebrities, because they know that there's going to be a return on investment.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. What it comes down to is there's just a cynicism now that didn't exist before. Like, everyone was like pretty doe-eyed, and like, I mean, people talk about this as well. You can find it on other channels. People talking about like, I think you say Quentin Reviews talks about this.
Shout out Quentin Reviews.
Yeah. Ironic, like pre-ironic, post-ironic age of the internet and comedy. It's a very true thing, because there's a lot more earnest creation, like pre-2010 ish, 2011 to like, I think 2011 was when it really started to get bad. Golden age of YouTube, I consider that 2008. It's like the best year of YouTube.
Well, I mean, even look at something like, if we're going back to early internet, Newgrounds, you would put a video in there. First of all, there's no fucking sponsor or merch that you're selling there. You're putting out a video that a lot of the time it was going to be a flash animation that you worked really hard on. And then it kind of came down to the community. The community would vote on, is this going to stay on the platform?
Yeah, which is a system that has been implemented into nearly every fucking website since.
Yeah.
Like, every content-based website has basically stolen that from Newgrounds. I think they were the first to do that.
Yeah, and the only difference is if someone hates your videos on YouTube, like you get like 1 million dislikes, that video can still get views. It can still stay on there. Whereas with Newgrounds, it's sort of like, if everyone universally hates this, we're not going to host this on our site.
Yeah, I know that because I tried to upload stuff to Newgrounds and I got blammed.
you got boffed, bro.
Yeah,
and
they to be fair, it was a button mashing game where there's one button and you just click the button and this hobo in front of a brick wall jerks himself off and then he comes.
Jesus.
And that's the game. Yeah. And it was not drawn well.
It was universally hated.
Everyone was like, this is garbage. Why did you put this on here? And I was like, oh man, I don't know.
Homeless people would save money up to go to internet cafes just to dislike it.
Yeah, well,
of course
I feel like if anything, the market we had was homeless people, because they're like, oh, I can relate to this.
I jerk off in back alleys all the time.
Yeah,
I don't have a button to mash, but I do it. But they hated it.
Oh, they're mashing though, to be sure.
Oh yeah, they're just mashing it up. You can't. It's sometimes you can't get hard, and that's fine. But
yeah, you gotta just.
I think that there is something though. And though I do love about YouTube, even to this day, is anyone can make a video and it'll stay on long enough to find an audience if there is an audience for that. But I also do think there's got to be a bit of a curation of content, like let's say someone like Jake Paul, like he has multiple videos where he is lying about someone doing something. He did a video where he doxed Post Malone, and that's still on there, no matter how disliked it is. And I do think there has to be a modicum of community-based curation of content. You know, like it shouldn't always just kind of come down to like what Google deems okay. You know, like what Google deemed okay was a lot of inappropriate videos marketed for perverts, you know, kind of sold as children's content so they could make more money. You know, I think a lot of the time the community should be able to have a say on this, because it is really the community that makes it what it is. And I think that 100%. Is something that should be implemented, because at the end of the day, you have what we have today, which is really who is thriving, who's really being pushed is these people rushing out content in traditional media, and, you know, just people really throwing out content that a lot of the time is stolen.
I want to just like put a little disclaimer here. It might come across as though we're salty and like kind of like old men, like get off my lawn about these new kids and creators. And I don't necessarily want that to be what you take away from this. It is true.
It's very much true. We are salty. Why aren't we famous?
Yeah, and for me, I'm also like, how dare you, Google? How dare you take this wonderful community of creators who fostered this like spirit that even like us as low level little kids on the fucking site, I felt a part of the community. You know, I felt like we were one big family on YouTube. And you ripped it apart for ad money, Google.
Also, like old YouTube, you could customize your channel. It felt personal. You could do response videos a lot of the time. Like when you like even like the video we made a shitty, terrible music video parody, and that actually like Michael Stevens picked that up on Barely Political. You know, it felt like you had more of a say. It felt like you were a part of this cog. You know,
yeah, it felt like the you and YouTube actually mattered and was there for something. So like I think for me, a lot of my anger that might come across at times is not necessarily directed like at people like Jake Paul, Logan Paul, like those guys, or whoever else. I mean, they're the worst offenders.
But I mean, like, even someone like that I really respect, like Casey Neistat, I think if I were to reach out or make a video, there's no chance he's seeing that. Whereas before, that was a big thing that could happen. And obviously, I understand to a certain extent that kind of comes down to like how, the bigger someone gets, the harder it is to respond to this. But I think totally. There was just more of a semblance of community on early YouTube, early internet, that we were all collaborating to make this an amazing space that just isn't quite there anymore.
And for me, again, I'm bitter because it feels like Google saw that and took advantage of it and took advantage of the goodwill of these people. And just sort of poison the community for their own benefit, and now it doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. Like that's a thing that I mean, I was gonna say correct me if I'm wrong, but don't.
No, please don't. Like if there's anything you want to correct us on, just shut the fuck up
and
be
listen.
A positive human.
This
rate,
is not a
subscribe 5 stars.
Yeah. This is not a two-way conversation with you, the viewer.
No, it's
this
not
is
all about
a one-sided thing.
It's about us.
Exactly. So try not to be so selfish.
But you were saying.
I was saying, please do correct me if I'm wrong, because I need to know. Yeah, I don't. Do the kids these days feel like they have a community on YouTube? Like that's there? Do they feel like a special? Is that just a dumb kid thing? I don't think so. I don't know. Because I feel like the adults on YouTube back then felt that too. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. I think the thing is at this point, YouTube is kind of the new television.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were even saying, like how that transition happened for us. We were the transition, and then you get kids younger. Like my sister's 5 years younger than me, and like yeah, she grew up watching TV, but she really also grew up watching YouTube like pretty much just as much.
And they're kind of, even though I think we tuned into YouTube as much as we did as kids, I think we didn't see it as a replacement for television. It was its own cool, unique thing that had this community. Much like early internet too, you know, like, yeah, if I went over to, you know, my cousin's house, we would go and we'd play Club Penguin, or we'd like see what funny videos were on the front page of YouTube. that was something that we would do, but we'd also still watch television. It wasn't a replacement. It was like this separate entity. And now it's kind of like the lines are blurred with stuff like, okay, even a big thing of like watching a fucking 1 minute ad before a video that is like 3 minutes. Like that didn't exist. You just kind of watch what you watch. Like if you weren't watching a big creator, there wasn't anything there.
You know what was crazy though for me is what did I watch? I was watching I think I was watching an interview with the brothers Chap, the creators of Homestar. I was watching one of those the other day, and a little like I can't even remember what they called them, like banner ads. The little remember those ads that would like come up and overlay over the video in the bottom, like in the bottom of it.
Yeah.
It's like a little rectangle and it comes up and it's like just under the bottom third line and it's like not super intrusive. It comes up, it pops up, and it says
you can
like,
exit it.
Pills sold hill, and then you click exit, and that was it. That was advertising on YouTube. It was that, and then sometimes there'd be an ad next to the video, like over the channel, like a banner ad.
But you have to think too, like even if you're looking at people, again, the algorithm favors anything over 10 minutes. So a lot of creators are doing stuff, let's say 20 minutes. And in some 20-minute videos I watch, even by people I respect, there's like 4 mid-roll ads. And at that point, it's a commercial break.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, sometimes they're longer almost. Like
I also would be, I would be pissed if I didn't bring this up on our intro episode. But I think there was something, if you are a kid or just a youth who is kind of coming to the internet post YouTube, do yourself a favor, go to newgrounds.com and go to homestarrender.com, especially homestarrender.com, and see the intricacy of the site. That you might not be able to do this much because Flash is dying, but just
they're phasing it out. Yeah.
But how it's set up, how how much they've customized their website, how interactive it is. Like you go into it and it's just for their videos. There's a new like home screen every time you go. If you watch a video, there's usually something on the screen that you can click on that's like a little hidden Easter egg. You're not pausing it. You can't do anything like that. It's just an experience that, is interactive that you get. And there's clearly so much hard work and dedication put into that just really isn't there anymore on any website. Even if it's a well-designed website, you don't have stuff like that anymore. And I think to me, it's almost kind of crazy that we've come so far with technology and how fast the internet can be and how customizable, and no one's really taking advantage of this.
Well, yeah, we should probably wrap it up pretty quick, but that is something that I definitely want to talk about maybe at a later date, is the art of the website and how it's dead.
Yes. Like honestly, at this point, even with YouTube, like we were kind of briefly mentioned before, how much you can kind of customize your own YouTube page to almost be like a website. It's a MySpace page now.
Yeah, it's worse.
And I think, we're talking about this and a lot more things that we'll get into if you tune in more. But I think the big note that I kind of want to end my little greasy Jewy little rant. I'm Jewish, okay, I can say that. I'm making fun of myself, politics these days. But if I can end anything with the rant, it's just the soul is kind of gone. The heart and the presentation and the effort to kind of give you this unique experience. And I think, again, we'll get more into it later, but when you're talking about a site like Homestar Runner, like you are getting this unique, like interactive experience that you could never have gotten with television. And that's what made the internet different. And now we're kind of shifting back to no customization. You watch your video, you're getting your 4 mid-roll ads that are really just commercial breaks. And this thing that kind of could have been its own separate entity is really just kind of going back to traditional media, because that's what makes more money and it's less effort.
We lost the internet.
We lost the Cold War.
There was an invisible battle that took place and no one noticed it, and we lost, and it's sad. But we can at least still sit here and reminisce and talk about the good times and what could have been, and also look at the seeds that have been planted along the way, because it's not totally dead, to be fair.
No,
there's still some life out there,
and I think it's fair to say that there's also some hope.
Wow, what a wholesome ending.
What a wholesome ending. We're just kind of a couple of wholesome boys. But I think my only regret in doing this is, as we're talking about, internet content and history, especially YouTube history, I really wish we could talk to like a big heavy hitter, most subscribed dude from back in the day,
That would be awesome. I mean,
like
imagine
how would that happen though?
it would be crazy. Imagine the types of questions we could ask and like the info we could get. I just don't know. Like, imagine that. That would be crazy.
It'd be impossible.
I couldn't, I don't think it could happen. Could it?
You know what? Screw it. I can't hold this in any longer. We got freaking What the Buck Michael Buckley on the pod next week.
We're goddamn indie moguls.
We are freaking indie moguls.
We
What
got
the fuck,
Mr.
dude?
Buck coming in live. He's going to be chatting to us about all sorts of nicks and knacks, old school YouTube history, whatever's going on in his day-to-day life. We don't know. We're about to find out.
We're going to find out. It could get crazy. We could all get naked and dance. Who knows?
I hope it does. I really do.
Yeah, so guys, you got to tune in next week to hear What the Buck. While you're at it, if you can support us in any way, subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to our Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hit us up on Instagram. We're going to be posting comics there sporadically. Hit us up on, we got a wholesome OnlyFans coming out for
Only
you guys.
$1.
Only $1, and you get to...
And we got a great swing set coming out there. No pun intended.
Yeah, you're going to get to see what it's really like to have a wholesome friend in your life. For all these loners out there who just wish they had a best friend, you can pay us
for everything
to see
else, there's MasterCard.
Nice.
If you do, please send us money.
Please, we also have a Patreon. Please use MasterCard. We accept it. American Express,
We
too,
accept
I think.
Amex, MasterCard, Visa.
I'll accept a goddamn Subway gift card at this point.
Anything that can get us through the week. So thank you so much for listening to the pod. Tune in next week for What the Buck. I love you guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Oh, that was a banger.
It's a spicy track right there.
That's a custom track we had made by Alex Walters. If you want to check out a lot of his other sick beats, go to soundcloud.com/AskSteveOfficial.
He'll make something that slaps your taint just like that.
You just got to pay him a ridiculous amount of money.
Oh my god.
Like
He's bleeding us dry.
Bad amount of.
It was fucked
We
up.
we are in the hole.
Oh yeah. It's pretty fucked up actually. Cuz I said to him, I was like, "Hey man, do you mind doing this as like a favor? Like, we'll definitely toss you some cash." And he said no.
He said, absolutely not. This is my cousin, by the way, and he sent us a bill for $20,000.
I wasn't going to say
said-
that number, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
20 grand. I mean, and that's just his artist fees. This has nothing to do with licensing as well. He's really working us dry.
We were in the hole for about $100K. We had to take out multiple loans. I don't even own a home. I had to mortgage my goddamn rabbit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would really appreciate it if you go to soundcloud.com/AskSteveOfficial. Check out his beats. They are sick beats, but they'll get better if you listen to them.
Nice.
Okay, cut.